Hi everyone. Okay, so this is another sort of short Touch Designer tutorial. Again, just trying to expand our way of thinking and how we can start to use various signals together. So what we've got here is, if I go into the top view, we're just drawing a circle in real time. Another thing I've got, if I shout a little bit, see if I've got this turned on. If I shout a bit, I've made it so that we can actually change the scale of our circle. Let me just turn this on. So if I go I don't know. We'll see it work now when we're in the lab. But as you can see now, even as I'm talking, the way that I'm talking is affecting the size of the circle. So if we go down and you look at the circle that we're drawing here, I've connected it so that as I talk, the circle will change size. So this is like, I guess, our second more like looking at like ambient interactive signals like sound rather than something more linear like a mouse movement and so on. I'll just switch back to the constant so the circle's not continually changing, and I'll show you how this one's built. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and delete all of the stuff here on the left, which is what we're going to rebuild. So I'll just drag select that with my right mouse up to this null here, and I'll press delete. And what I've got here, it's the same as our regular file. The only difference is that I'm sending one signal to both our transform X and our transform Y. So usually we had these like separate, but because it's a circle, we're going to be sending just the same data in so that we get that relationship between X and Y so we can draw a circle. Okay, so let's see if I can rebuild this without too much pain or difficulty. All right, so first of all, we will want to make a circle. Okay, so the circle will be a SOP. So I'll just type in circle, grab that here. I'm going to make it an open arc, and then I'm also going to put it, if we have a look at this circle at the moment, can we see it? Let me just go here. Yeah, okay, so there's our circle. We want to have it on the ZX plane because that's going to be the circle that we want to draw, right? Okay, so then I'm just going to add a couple more things so I can change it a little bit. I'll add a transform. Just type that here, transform, so we can change its size. Later we'll link that to the microphone. I'll add a null, just so we've got something at the end in case we want to change in anything here. And then I'm going to add a little box that's going to be going around the circle just so we can visualize what it's doing. So I'll just grab a box, and I'm just going to change the size of the box a little bit. I'll make this a bit smaller, you'll see why in a second. And then I'll put a transform into the box as well. Transform into the box. And then I'm going to put both the circle and the box into a merge. Let's grab this. Merge. Okay, this is just so we want to make the data that that we're going to use to get this kind of these circular inputs. So if I'll just turn off the rendering of the circle, and now we've got the box and the circle together in that one merge chop. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to grab is a SOP2, a SOP chop. I'll show you what this does in a second, because basically we want to take some of the geometrical information of the circle and make it into like numerical information, so where we want to move this box. So I'm just going to name this so we know what it is. Circle null, null, yep. And then here, the SOP that we're going to look at, these blue ones are our SOPs, our surface operators. I'm going to type in circle null. And now we've got, these are the transformations drawing the circle in the TX and the TZ. Okay, and I'm just going to do a couple more changes here. I'm just going to turn off the position XYZ set this to custom. This is just some stuff I sort of found online, just some settings that seem to get this working perfectly. So I've got my TX, TY, TZ, and then I'm going to grab a lookup here, and I'm going to put my lookup onto time slice. And then I also need, I've connected that into the wrong slot. That's got to go into the bottom slot. And the top slot, I'm just going to put an LFO, our low frequency oscillator, our favorite sort of continuous signal. So what that's doing at the moment, that's just moving us around the circle. I'm just going to change this to a ramp and make my frequency a bit lower. I'll put the frequency down to like 0.4. And that should give it to us. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that stop to chop and take that out to a null via the lookup. So I'll grab here, go get a null. So here are our values for the transforms, and we're going to put those values of the transforms back onto the transform that we've got going into our box. Our TX, TY, and our TZ. So if I make this active, and then I will go into my transforms here, and I just want to grab my TX and put it on the X, chop reference, the Y, which should be doing nothing, chop reference, and the Z, chop reference. So now, if you look in my geometry viewer on the side panel here, we're going around in circles. If you don't have this viewer here, I'm not sure if I've mentioned this already, we've got these panels up here. We can switch here from a single panel to 3 panels to 2 panels horizontally and vertically. And if you wanted to turn one of them into a geometry viewer, you just go up here and go geometry viewer, and that will give you the viewer. Okay, so what we want to do now is start sending these values to our to our brush. Sorry, I'm losing my brain for a second there. Okay, so if we just go now, we'll need to go from our null back to this null here. If we pop that in there, now we'll see we've got our brush going around the circle. If I go into top view, there we are. But the issue is that we want to move the circle down a bit. So I'll just turn off my merge, so I can just see my brush, and I'll leave these both on for a second. I'm going to move the circle down. So if I translate this, like 1? Nope. Okay, let's try here. Yes, that's what we want. So I think it'd be like 1, I don't know, what's that, like 1.1 or 1.4, something like that. And then I'll make the scale of the circle a bit smaller, like 0.6. Okay, so now that should have our brush moving in the circle, hopefully. I'll just hide the merge. Where's our brush? Nope, that hasn't worked. Okay, so I've done something wrong there. Okay, so I'll have to look up exactly why that is, but yeah, it's for some reason there's some transform that I haven't quite looked at. I think it might be just because of the way that I'm reading my X, my Y's, and my Z's here. But if I look at the circle, even though the circle I've translated it on the X-axis here, what it's giving me on the brush is actually translating that on the Z, which is where we want it. Okay, so let's see if I can quickly add in that last part with the microphone, which is a little bit more straightforward. So basically, to get the microphone, we need an audio device in. So that will be here. That's our microphone at the moment. By default, it's it's grabbing my microphone here. If I go quiet and then go we can see the microphone. Then I'm just going to filter this signal a bit. So I'm just going to grab audio spectrum here, and then I'll grab and analyze, so I can see that as just a floating number. Oh, sorry, that's analyze here. Okay, so now we've got a floating number, and I'll need some math to just convert that number here. And what else have we got? Okay, so I'll just need to look at the range, and then I'll need to put in a limit, because I want to make sure, this is what I didn't have on my network the other day, a limit to make sure we don't go like inside and outside any crazy values. So the math range that I had before that seemed to work was 0.0001 to 0.005, mapping that to a range of 0.2 to 0.7, and then I wanted to limit my range by clamping it, and limit this also to 0.2 and 0.7, which just means we can't throw the robot out of range. So now if I go, you can see the highest, it goes as 0.7. And I also just popped in a switch, just so I can switch back and forth to a constant value, which is another way of just turning this microphone thing off. So I'll put in a switch, and I'll just grab a constant, and the constant I'll just have it at like 0.5 or something. So now I might just reverse these like this. So now at the moment the switch, when it's at 0, just gives me that value of 0.5, or if I put the switch at 1, we're getting that microphone input. And now if I take the switch, I'll just pop it out to a null and call this something like microphone scale. And I might just move all these to the left a little bit, so they're kind of in the way. All right, that's cool. And microphone scale, I'm going to pop that into the transform of my circle. So at the moment, my circle's uniform scale is 0.6, but I can just grab this, make it active, go to my transform, and export this chop here. So now, if you see when I talk, the circle is changing, and so we've got a circle being drawn, but the scale of the circle is continually changing by the way I talk. Okay, so that's it for this video. We're going to go through this in class, and yeah, you know, if you can think of other ways of playing around with this, have a look online, experiment. If I go back here and we look at our network, you can always use this viewer here to just play around and experiment. Okay, thanks guys. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.